Pecha Kucha 100, Transmetropolitan, and a new Colt Cougar logo. I don't think I've spoken about Transmetropolitan before, but it's my favourite comic book series. I'm not going to explain it particularly well because it deserves a Pecha Kucha entirely by itself, but I've been reading some of it again this week. And yeah, I didn't do much else. So on the Monday, I thought it's time to draw again with the Cintiq, see if I can use it at an angle. Just did a picture of Nobunaga, absent-mindedly drawing Spider-Man in the back, just seeing how my hand felt. It's not the best. I might simply never be able to go back to that. We'll see what happens in the future. I then actually went and drew with a pencil on some paper. You can't tell, but it's newsprint. I've got a ton of it. I didn't even know what I was drawing until, I just decided, fuck it, let's just draw old school Nick Fury. So I'm halfway through a silly page with no point and a joke with Wolverine and Spider-Man on the right. And then I keep pushing with this Illustrator thing. So I did like this like Colt Cougar new face. It looks pretty good, but it's not what it should be. And now I'm going to kind of retroactively talk about how I got here. Uh, and, then what I did afterwards to add more to the logo. So, the thing about working in Illustrator is I'm trying to learn the program and change the way I draw at the same time. I like to feather my lines, but in Illustrator you need to do one line and then you just correct it if it's a bit wonky because it's vector, you just adjust the anchor points. So I thought, I'm drawing a Colt Cougar, which is a mountain lion in a cowboy hat. Let's go just actually get a picture of a mountain lion, find a specific picture. This is the angle, this is the face, and we're going to trace this, and we're going to drop an actual cowboy hat, and we're going to trace that too. So it's not me learning the program and worrying about the quality of the art. So Lee Van Cleef, the bad from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, one of my favourite cowboy actors, right up there with Clint Eastwood. He wears the hat that is the Colt Cougar hat. I think it's probably the hat he wore in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time. Just a black straight hat. It doesn't have arched tips like most cowboy hats. So I just did a Photoshop mock-up, ironically not in Photoshop, in Manga Studio, and I was just like, you know what, we're just going to drop vectors straight on top of this, and then I don't have to worry about how the hat fits on the head. And of course I thought, you know what, I should rock a stogie because because Arnold Schwarzenegger basically, and Colt Cougar rocks a stogie in the art I already have. But in the end, I couldn't be bothered to do it because, like, adjusting the mouth in Illustrator was more than I could be bothered to do. So having done the actual image, I thought let's try and turn it into a logo, get some branding. I was thinking ye old Western stuff. So I just googled what that is to try and actually get it in my head. The font types, the kind of ornamentation you see. Then I just went on 1001 fonts and found some font that seemed like it would probably fit the bill. So this is called Bogus Flow. I just downloaded that and thought, I looked long enough to go through 10. I thought, nah, and then I thought, yeah, this is alright. So I added the font, figured out how to put it on a circle, added like a background logo thing. The stogie would have maybe messed with the symmetry, so I think this looks good as a logo, even though honestly it's not finished. But I don't look at it and worry about that. Enough's enough. All right, so Transmetropolitan is a brutal, satirical, hilarious, vulgar thing. I'm a massive fan of the writing. I'm a massive fan of the art. And Warren Ellis is a guy who's always writing the stuff I'm reading, and Garth Ennis. Between them, that's a lot of my thing. So it's about a journalist who turns his back on society but has to go back in, just like The Godfather 3, because he owes somebody something and he can't get out of it. So he's got to go write some books, or he's going to get his ass sued back to the Stone Age. I think that's actually the phrase. He finds himself in the middle of some really aggressive stuff. There's like a riot going on where the jackbooted police are stomping the shit out of some nobodies, and all he can do is kind of write up the story as it's happening, and it's being posted live, and actually makes the police leave. So yeah, and it's set in the future where morality kind of has been consumed by, you know, capitalism completely. You know, you've got kids cartoons that are, you know, as gory as this, and you've got Air Jesus trainers for sale. The yeah, because you know, there's one issue, maybe the fourth issue in the series, where he just watches TV and tries to not literally die from it because it's so toxic. And that's kind of, you know, the satirical underpinning of the entire thing. It's basically looking at consumer culture and where we're going, and you know, we're a stone's throw away from so much of this. So some of it's maybe a bit more obviously lampooning than the rest of it. Religion is openly mocked quite aggressively, um, brutally, violently, as he wears his Air Jesus trainers that he bought to go whip some ass. Right. So on the left, Spider Jerusalem, the main character, has fallen asleep, but what he doesn't realize is he's been hit by an info burst that means he sees advertisements in his sleep. This is probably going to actually happen. It's give it 50 years, give it 100 years, right? So yeah, I'm not really explaining anything about Transmetropolitan because there's a lot going on. But it's fun. I love it. It's vulgar. There's lots of nudity and is it like Berserk? It's for grown-ups. Yeah. But you can be entertained if you don't want to take any of the satirical stuff seriously, which most of us don't. Certainly not all the time. So what do I do next week? I'm going to keep trying to be an illustrator and come to terms with the fact that it's not a place you go because you're an artist. It's a place you are because you want high-quality imagery fast. And I just need this under my belt at this point, just for the flexibility that it can give me when doing comics and stuff. I intended to finish that Nick Fury page, so I guess I'll do that. But you know how I am with finishing things. Starting is so easy. Continuing isn't that bad, but finishing, maybe next decade. So that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 100, and I'll see you next time.